Doctor Who The Leisure Hive, the 36th story of the 4th Doctor, is written by David Fisher and starring Tom Baker, Lala Ward and John Leeson. Yes, I'm counting Sharda as we finally got it. So, this is season 18. John Nathan Turner has replaced Graham Williams as a producer, and Barry Letts came back but as an executive producer only for this season. Christopher H. Bidmead has replaced Douglas Adams as a script editor. This season also has a trilogy of story arc, The E-Space. John Nathan Turner wanted to change from what was the latest Doctor Who story was like before he took over, as he thought they were silly, increasing the series production values as he thought they were poor when he compared with glassy American science fiction series. Dudley Simpson was dismissed from Doctor Who, as John Nathan Turner wanted to give the show a fresh, modernised direction for the 1980s, using the music like purely electronic incidental music produced in-house by the BBC Radiophonic Workshop.
I leave you to enjoy the celebrated view of Argolis from the safety of the hive. I will return shortly.
The title sequence got updated with new 4th Doctor's face image, and Delia Derbyshire's arrangements of the theme music got replaced by Peter Howell, and 1980s design neon tubing logo designed by Sid Sutton with the effects of black with stars, and I thought it's pretty cool and I love the theme. Doctor Who is one of the best TV themes of all time, whichever it sounded like. Sadly, Tom Baker and Lala Ward didn't like it. Tom Baker wasn't too keen on the scripts. He wanted to be like Philip Hinchcliffe's era, and Lala Ward pointed out that they removed the humour, so the story was going to be called The Argolans and Avalon, but obviously changed to The Leisure Hive. David Fisher created a criminal race called the Marzi, anagram of the words mafiosa, a crime organisation whom the aliens were greatly based upon, and the costume was reused in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy TV series as the leader of the Gugavant. So the TARDIS prop that was used since the Mask of Mandragora got replaced with a new one in this story, and used until the end of Classic series in 1989. This is also a first story to use the Quantal DPE 5000 digital image processing system,
a computer designed to produce television graphics. Broadcasters quickly took it up to create their weather maps, graphs and title sequences.
Plus the budget was running really bad, as I've heard. So the story begins with the long shot of the deserted beach in Brighton. While the Doctor is sleeping, Romana walks with K-9 and threw a beach ball at the sea, which didn't end well because K-9 blew up as soon as he's in the sea. Sad moment. But that's obviously not the end of K-9, thankfully. Romana dropped K-9 on the Doctor's lap and complained about the wrong place, wrong time and wrong season. The Doctor says he can't always run away from the Black Guardian, so Romana suggested to the Doctor that they should go to Argolis. It was really funny when Romana goes on about Argolis and the Doctor just falls asleep like this.
Doctor.
So meanwhile, Morix, the chairman, is getting old and died, and so Mina replaced him. The Doctor and Romana arrived on the planet into the demonstration of the experiment, like two guys levitated playing tennis, which is pretty effective, and a guy who's screaming while his body is torn apart. The Doctor has a look and saying he's badly hurt. However, him and Romana were taken to Madam Chairman, but they escaped. Pretty amusing when the Doctor is talking to a guard, and not long before Mina alerted them.
There are 2 unauthorised visitors on the premises. Keep any a cock to the description.
Thank you.
As Romana is pulling the Doctor's scarf at the TARDIS, she realises it's the pink dummy. So the Doctor went in the machine, and his body gets ripped apart, which is pretty unsettling. As Romana's trying to get help, the Doctor happens to escape at the back, by putting a hole with his sonic screwdriver. So as he and Romana try to escape, they get surrounded by security guards, while Hardin has arrived and Mina is learning more about the time travel technology. So the Doctor and Romana went to see Mina, who's aging, which makes her ill.
But you're ill.
I'll recover in a moment.
But you look older.
Yes, the war has done this to us too.
So Romana works on the Rejuvenate experiment. Meanwhile, Stimson sees a corpse. It's so unsettling. He gets murdered by something.
So that's how it's done.
So he goes into the court. The Doctor discovers his scarf around the dead Hardin, which made people think it was the Doctor who killed him. And I absolutely love the Doctor's line in the courtroom where he suggests arrest the scarf. Admittedly, it is very rare in this season that the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, uses his humour. But at least it's still there, just not in the same amount as all of his previous seasons.
His scarf killed Stimson.
Arrest the scarf then.
The court is sitting, Doctor.
After Romana and Hardin are done with the experiments, they ran off to see the Doctor, while the potion explodes with green effects, so they tested it on the Doctor. As Romana realises something wrong, she asks the people to get the Doctor out of the machine, and he's an old man. Two stories in a row where we see the old Fourth Doctor. Tom Baker, even though he was ill and argued with the producer, still brilliant as the Fourth Doctor, more than words can say. As you can see, the Fourth Doctor's costume in season 18 is similar but different, with the colour focusing on red and brown, with 2 question marks on his shirt. Tom Baker, Lalla Ward, Barry Letts and Christopher H. Bidmead did not like that idea and tried to convince John Nathan Turner to remove, or maybe the exclamation mark, and John Nathan Turner also wanted to ditch the scarf. But June Hudson, the designer, wanted to keep it as its iconic part for the character. So after June Hudson went all through the trouble redesigning Tom Baker's outfit, including long brown coats with yellow waistcoat, she then settled with plum colour scheme after deciding not to throw away a scarf. That is 23 to 24 feet long, which is the longest scarf that Tom Baker ever wore. And all the changes that John Nathan Turner has made is the reason why Tom Baker left. Lalla Ward played the second Romana, a Time Lord or Time Lady from Gallifrey, who got brought to the TARDIS as the Doctor's companion to help search for the pieces of Key to Time. And I think Lala's fantastic. John Leeson voiced K-9, an intelligent robot dog created by Professor Marinus. This one is Mark II, and I loved K-9, and John is great as K-9. I met him at Comic-Con back in 2014 and had a great chat with him, and he's a nice guy. Fomosi are reptilian humanoids, and I thought they're cool, and I love the sound of their voices with the different beeping type of sounds. Fomosi spoke in a clicking language and were physically incapable of speaking human languages. Argolan are humanoids from the planet Argolis, which I think are interesting races, and I'd like to see them returning. David Haig played Pangol, the youngest Argolan, who's the villain of the story. Nigel Lambert played Hardin, who's a scientist from Earth. Nigel Lambert would later voice the priest Triangle in Doctor Who, the Flux series. Adrian Corey played Mina, who replaced Morix as a chairman after he aged to death. John Collin played Brock, not Eddie Brock, just Brock, who's a businessman and impersonated by Fomosi. Lawrence Payne played Morix, who was the chairman until he died of old age. Lawrence Payne had previously played Johnny Ringo in The Gunfighters and later played Dastari in The Two Doctors. Martin Fisk and Ray Montague played Vargas and Guides, who are tour guides. Ian Talbot played Clout, a Fomosi, and got used by them. David Alistair played Stimson, Hardin's assistant. The casts did a great job. The effects and sets are great. I love the atmosphere. The music by Peter Howell is amazing, with incidental music, especially the shot of the exterior. Because the Doctor is suspected that he's a murderer, him and Romana are imprisoned. However, they get given those collars so they can be free around the Leisure Hive, but they got to stay in certain areas, otherwise those collars will strangle them to death. Hardin managed to unlock those collars from the Doctor and Romana, so while Romana goes into the machine after sorting stuff out, Pangol plans to age the Doctor for another 2,000 years. Fomose helped Romana escape and introduced it to the Doctor.
What?
So after the Doctor and Romana brought army of Fomose and attacking Brock, it was pretty lethal the way they ripped him apart, and Brock reveals to be one of them and got his voice. So Pangol plans to use a machine to create an army. The Doctor got in the machine while Mina is dying with old age. The bit where the army created is really effectively. As the army began and Romana tried to warn that the Doctor is in there, the whole army revealed to be the Doctor.
Or fortunately, depending on your point of view.
All but one disappeared, so while Hardin tries to take Mina into the machine, Pangol pushed past and got himself with Mina into the machine, and as a result, Mina becomes a young adult and Pangol turns into a baby who's to be brought up properly.
This time I must try to bring him up properly.
So after saying goodbye, the Doctor and Romana goes back in the TARDIS. The Doctor does not like not knowing where they're going to be next, but neither does the Black Guardian. Scary. So, that's the Leisure Hive. There's great elements in the story, it's nicely written, plus it's so different to all the previous seasons. What did you think of this story? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Doctor Who Meglos, the 37th story of the 4th Doctor, is written by John Flanagan and Andrew McCulloch, and starring Tom Baker, Lala Ward and John Leeson. So the title was going to be The Golden Pentacle, and the Lost Zulfa Thurin, obviously changed to Meglos, and the only story as of time of recording that uses camera linking system known as Scene Sync, allowing the use of non-static shots of characters superimposed onto a miniature set. When the cameras on the casts were moved, the cameras on the miniature set moved the equivalence scaled amount automatically. The exact scale motion got trial and error, including minute adjustment to the voltage delivered to the slave camera motors. The story also given Tom Baker playing both hero and villain roles. During the production of the story, Madame Tussauds in London debuted the Doctor Who exhibition. Included were sculptures of both the 4th Doctor and his Meglos doppelganger. As a result, Tom Baker is the only person to have appeared twice in the Wax Museum. So in the TARDIS, the Doctor and Romana are busy fixing K-9. The Doctor remembers visiting the planet called Tegela and made friends with someone called Zastor. So there's been an argument between Dions and Savants because of the ownership of the dodecahedron. Meanwhile, on Zulfa, Gaztacs were holding a human called George Morris a hostage. They took him inside the base and put him in the machine with a talking cactus called Meglos, and it got turned into George.
I don't believe it.
And the effects on that looked pretty good. So the Doctor and Romana got stuck in the time loop.
What's the matter?
Well, now his probe circuit's jammed.
Well, that's easy, just waggle its tail.
As Romana's having trouble with K-9, the Doctor almost tripped over and told Romana to wag K-9's tail, and K-9 said thank you over and over again. So then Meglos got turned into the Doctor.
Oh, but he does, gentlemen. He does. We mustn't disappoint the Tigellans.
So the Doctor figured a way to get out of the time loop, so him, Romana and K-9 decided to reenact it, and well, that did the job. So they arrived on the planet together, and so did Meglos, and met Zastor.
Thanks be to time.
Thanks be to time.
So the Meglos went to the dodecahedron and put a device there, making Lexa think he's a traitor and tell everyone to arrest the Doctor.
Arrest the Time Lord. Stop him at all costs. He must not be allowed to leave the city.
The Doctor met the guards and realises Romana is missing and tell K-9 to find her. So the Doctor reunited with Zastor and the Doctor gets escorted. Romana is attacked by the plants and got herself free, but then she gets surrounded by Gaztax and Broderdak orders them to kill her. Uh-oh.
She's seen too much! Kill her!
Tom Baker again is fantastic as the 4th Doctor, and he did so well playing Meglos as well. Lala Ward and John Leeson are great as Romana and K-9, love them both. Jackie Lynn Hill came back into Doctor Who, but not as Barbara Wright. She played Lexa, the leader of the Dions. She did so well. Edward Underdown played Zastor, the leader of the Tigellans, who was the Doctor's friend. Maurice Denham, Esmond Knight and Ralph Michael were considered for the role. Meglos is the last of the Zulfa Thurin, and I thought it was a great villain. Originally there was going to be a sequel to that, but then it got replaced with The Lodger in Series 5 starring Matt Smith. Zulfa Thurin are intelligent cactus type races who are from Zulfa Thura. Love to see more of that. Colette Gleason played Karis, who's a Tigellan savant. Crawford Logan played Diedrichs, a Tigellan scientist who's been wanting to study dodecahedron, and he's the leader of the savants. Crawford also voiced Meglos. Simon Shaw played a Tigellan guard who guarded the entrance. Tigellan are humanoid races from the planet Tigella. Bill Fraser played General Grugger, the leader of Gaztok. John Flanagan wanted Lee Marvin for the role and was amazed when Bill Fraser was cast, as he did not imagine him in the role at all. Harry Andrews, Bernard Archard, Brian Blessed, Peter Cushing, James Ellis, Ronald Fraser, Peter Gilmore, Donald Houston, Glenn Houston, Strafford Johns, T.P. McKenna, Donald Pleasance, Leonard Sachs, George Swell, Nigel Stock, John Stratton, Richard Todd, Peter Vaughan, Frank Windsor and Peter Wingard were also considered for the role. Frederick Treves played Broderdak, who's second in command of Gaztak. Timothy Bateson, Jeffrey Bailden and Colin Jeavons were considered for the role. Gaztak are mercenaries, basically they're space pirates for hire. Christopher Owen played George Morris, a human from 20th century who's captured by Gaztecs. The name of the Earthling is never revealed in the on-screen story. It is only in the novelisation that he's called George Morris. The casts did a great job. The effects and sets are fantastic, and I do love the music by Paddy Kingsland and Peter Howell. I think the music is absolutely phenomenal. Easily one of the best things about this story. I love how atmospheric it is, and yeah, it just really gives me the goosebumps. It's a shame that it doesn't get much credit as it deserves, although this part of the soundtrack is known to be reused in The Curse of the Fatal Death. So Grugger came and decided to question Romana on where she's from and how she got to the planet, so she leads them around the circles and she convinces them to give her another chance by going anti-clockwise to find the TARDIS. So they did, and Bell plants attacked Gaztox, giving Romana a chance to escape.
Here.
Meanwhile, the Doctor's confused because Lexa said that she saw him at dodecahedron's energy.
What happened to the dodecahedron?
I keep telling you, I don't know. I've only just arrived.
Grugger kicks K-9 for being useless.
You're useless.
Bill Fraser agreed to take the role as long as he kicked K-9. Oh dear. Tom Baker said on the Tom Baker Years, Fraser pointed out quite firmly to the production team, "If I don't kick the dog, I don't do the show." However, Grugger's kicking K-9 is omitted from Terence Dix's novelisation of the story. However, Fraser later played Bill Pollock in K-9 and Company.
You're a very dangerous combination, Earthling.
Meglos, while being harassed by an Earthling, he held Karis hostage, but she managed to make him surrender. So then Romana attacks Karis because she thought she was taking the Doctor, so Meglos Gaztecs got away in the ship. Karis told Romana that it was Meglos, so they went to search for the Doctor. So non-believers, including Zastor, gets taken to the planet's surface, while Lexa takes the Doctor for sacrifice. Pretty intense. When a large rock is above the Doctor and the rope is burning, Romana, Karis, Zastor and everyone quickly ran into the power room and told them that it wasn't the real Doctor who was a traitor.
Heretic! Take him out!
It's the wrong Doctor! The other one's escaped. We saw him.
So they released him. Sadly, Lexa took a shot to save Romana from dead Gaztok. So the Doctor, Romana, K-9, Karis and Dietrich arrived on the planet Zulfa Thera after Meglos walked out giving a Gaztak his code. The Doctor pretended to be Meglos and walked into the base and telling them that preparation is to be made for countdown. So then as he walked out with both Gaztoks liking the Doctor's coat, they went after both Meglos and the Doctor and locked them up.
Haven't I seen you somewhere before?
Rotterdak's dialogue to Grugga about Meglos' Doctor's coat
It's a rather nice coat. Now that he's finished playing the Doctor.
Well, gentlemen,
was an inside joke referring to Tom Baker's announce that he was leaving Doctor Who after 7 years. Rotterdak's name was an anagram of bad actor and an in-joke from the production team. In Terence Dicks's novelisation of the story, Rotterdak's name is rendered Brotterdag and is therefore no longer an anagram of bad actor. So Romana, Karis and Dietrich went to rescue the Doctor, so Karis and Dietrich pinned Meglos on the wall. It released George and went away. So as the countdown continues, they went back to the TARDIS, dodecahedron powers up, so back on Tigella, the Doctor says bye to Zastor, Karis and Dietrich. The Doctor is happy to take George back home. Just before he left, and Romana tells the Doctor that Time Lords wanted the Doctor and Romana back on Gallifrey immediately, leading to the E-Space trilogy. Apparently there was a glitch for Part 4's end credits music sounding very low, which I think it's a great soundtrack as well. So, that's Meglos, and this is a great story. What did you think of this story? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Doctor Who Full Circle, the 38th story of the 4th Doctor, is written by Andrew Smith and starring Tom Baker, Lala Ward, Matthew Waterhouse and John Leeson. This is the first of the E-Space trilogy and the introduction of Matthew Waterhouse's Adric. The title was going to be The Planets That Slept, but got changed to Full Circle. Andrew Smith was 17 years old when he wrote the story. Crazy. Andrew Smith submitted a script as a fan of the show. The production team, led by script editor Christopher H. Bidmead, heavily reworked his draft to centre around hard science, focusing on biological cycles, recursive growth and evolution. Bidmead designed a concept where the TARDIS passes through a charged vacuum embodiment. This anomaly traps the Doctor and Romana in a pocket universe called E-Space, which paved the way for a 3-story continuous arc. The central concept is that the humanoid Alzarians living in a crashed starliner were not the original passengers, but an evolved form of the Marshmen. The monsters of the swamp were actually their own distant ancestors, revealing a tragic evolutionary loop. During the filming in the autumn of 1980, major behind-the-scenes casting changes were announced. News broke that Tom Baker would be leaving the series, and halfway through the story's broadcast, Peter Davidson was announced as the 5th Doctor, causing a media frenzy. The outside locations on Alzarius were filmed at Black Park in Buckinghamshire. The story got repeated on BBC One apart from BBC One Wales. So after dropping off George Morris, Romana is understandably upset and went to her room because she didn't want to go back to Gallifrey, and the Doctor is trying to comfort her. Plus he's excited to see Leela, Android and K-9 Mark 1 again. The TARDIS, however, is flying through the void.
ETA to Gallifrey, 32 minutes. Flight path clear.
ended up in Alzarius in E-Space. The Doctor and Romana were puzzled about it, and K-9 couldn't tell what coordinates they're on. They're supposed to be on Gallifrey, but they're not.
This isn't Gallifrey.
It certainly isn't.
So in the cave we meet Adric, and everyone, even his brother Vosh, is picking on him. So he goes to pinch watermelons but gets chased by Draith. By the time he catches up with him, he gets grabbed by Marshman and dragged into the water. And sadly Adric couldn't save him. It's actually a scary scene there.
We've come full circle.
So he found the TARDIS and let himself in. The Doctor asked who he is and Adric passed out. So he's lying on bed saying that his people thinks Mistfall are myth. So he goes out to warn people. His leg heals like Wolverine. So he got given a homing device and goes away. While the Doctor and K-9 are by the lake and sees Marshmen rising up from the water, there was hell of a mist of fog, which is pretty scary. While the Doctor sees Marshmen patrolling and K-9 went with them, Adric tells his people about the Doctor and the TARDIS. So him, Vash, Kira and Tylos ran in. Vash and Tylos pointed knives at Romana, so luckily Romana disarmed Tylos but gave him his knife back.
Your knife.
The TARDIS moved down to the cave and the Doctor couldn't find it, so he walks into a base being followed by a Marshman. So then he gets caught by Alzarians.
Everything's gonna be all right. You're quite safe with me.
As a Marshman was frightened, the Doctor tried to comfort it but gets knocked out and ended up in court.
I'm Nifred.
I am Gareth.
I am Logan.
And I'm the Doctor.
While they're examining a Marshman, horrible. The Doctor tells Deciders the truth about the mist and everything. K-9 came into the cave to try rescue Romana, but one of the Marshmen knocked his head off. Poor K-9 in 3 serials in a row. First he's blown up after going into the sea, then he gets kicked over, being called useless, and now got his head knocked off by a Marshman. As everyone went out the TARDIS seeing what scared the Marshmen off, it turns out to be spiders. So Alzarians went back in the TARDIS, leaving Romana out. Adric tried to let her back in, but accidentally dematerialised the TARDIS. And we get intense moments where Romana is attacked by spiders and fainted. Tom Baker, again, is brilliant as the 4th Doctor. It's a shame that it's his last season. Watching him and I'm like, oh no, I don't want him to go. Lala Ward and John Leeson are great as Romana 2 and K-9 Mark 2. And I didn't want them to go either. I also love the fact that K-9 has got his theme tune. It's a pity that this was only used in this story. And I think it's a great fitting for the character. Matthew Waterhouse played Adric, an Alzarian from Alzarius in E-Space, who became the Doctor's companion after stowed away in the TARDIS, and he got a badge for his mathematics skills. Now, like the character, Tom Baker suggested that Adric should be like Sabu, a little wild boy who cannot speak, choosing to nod and shake his head, like Kemmel from The Evil of the Daleks, which I think it's a great idea, but sadly John Nathan Turner wasn't too keen on the idea. The character of Adric was first announced in the Evening News on 26th of February 1980. The outline for the character had described him as about 15 and wiry, with short, straight back hair. The next month, Nathan Turner cast Matthew Waterhouse in the role. Matthew Waterhouse was a former news clerk at the BBC, and like Smith, he was a long-time Doctor Who fan. Waterhouse was formerly the first correspondent for the fan magazine Doctor Who Weekly, and had once participated in a TV action competition to design a monster for the show, debuting as an actor in the then unreleased To Serve Them All My Dears. Although Full Circle introduces Adric, the first story Waterhouse filmed was State of Decay. Waterhouse later said that he was given the role without preparation, saying he had lunch with John Nathan Turner and sent straight into rehearsals. Matthew Waterhouse competed for the role with a friend and fellow fan, Bernard Padden. After 3 auditions, Paddon was disqualified for his strong Manchester accent, but was given the role of Outlaw Tylos, which Grimwade initially wanted to cast actor Billy McCall in. Richard Willis played Adric's older brother Vash, who's the leader of the Outlaws, the name that was taken by a group of Alzerians. He did a great job. John Nathan Turner originally named Adric's brother Aphorus and had Andrew Smith included the character in Full Circle. I think Alzerian are interesting races. Marshmen are amphibious humanoids. Every 50 years only came out of their home swamps during mistfall and aggressive to their Alzerian cousins. And I thought they're pretty scary. June Page and Bernard Paddon played Kira and Tylos, who are Alzerians and members of Outlaw Group. George Baker played Logan, an Alzerian engineer, and Kira's dad. According to the reference book, The Doctor, Its Lives and Times, a year after leaving Alzerius, the Starliner landed on a planet called Oriana. The landing party was led by Decider Lorana. After making contact with locals known as the Haragi, it was decided that the planet would be renamed New Alzerius. Joss Ackland, Brian Blessed, John Carson, James Ellis, Frank Finlay, Bernard Hepton, Donald Houston, Jeremy Kemp, William Lucas, Alfred Lynch, T.P. McKenna, and Edward Woodward were considered for the role. Leonard Maguire played Draith, hence Keeper of the System Files and Head Decider. James Bree and Alan Rowe played Nefred and Gareth, Deciders of Alzerius. James Bree previously played Security Chief in the War Games and later played the Keeper of Matrix in The Ultimate Foe. Rowe previously played Dr. Evans and Space Control Voice in The Moonbase, Edward of Wessex in The Time Warrior, and James Skinsale in Horror of Fanrock. Tom Calvin played Dexter, an Alzerian chief scientist. Michael Shields was considered for the role. John Nathan Turner approached the film and television actor George Baker in the BBC's rehearsal rooms in action, asking him to play Logan, an Alzerian citizen, and later Decider, whose daughter Kira is among the Outlaws. Baker agreed, relating to the part due to his 5 daughters. Grimwade was responsible for much of the casting. Child performer June Page and the Feathered Serpent actor Richard Willis were cast as Kira and Vash, respectively, and funny enough, those two were later married. The cast did a great job. There's great sets and effects, and the music by Paddy Kingsland is fantastic. Doctor and Dexter has a look at Marshman.
Their motivation to attack us is immensely powerful.
It is?
It's well documented.
And then the Doctor and Logan were searching for Kira. So then the TARDIS arrived, and it was funny when the Doctor said Romana, and there's Alzerian coming out of the TARDIS like this. Romana? Romana?
Romana? Romana?
Kira and her father reunites, so then it seems Outlaws were on trial, but they're not to be punished, however. While the Doctor sees on screen that Marshman strangled Dexter to death and punched the screen, which killed him. Meanwhile, the Doctor and Adric arrived at the cave where Romana is, and she's sitting there seemingly emotionless, so she goes back in the TARDIS for resting. But then later on, Adric told the Doctor that Romana is missing. As they searched the TARDIS, she wasn't there, and it seems to be a bit of a mess. So Romana, while being possessed, let out an army of Marshmen. So it broke into the base and attacking Alzerians. The Doctor and Adric are busy working on how to cure Romana, so everyone uses the fire extinguisher type things to attack all Marshmen. And I like how the Doctor used K-9's head to scare the Marshmen like that. Sadly, Vash gets dragged into the door and gets killed.
Is he dead? Poor Vash.
As the Doctor thought Romana has died, she revealed to be alive and freed from hypnosis of the spider. While Adric sneaked into the TARDIS and put image translator on the console, the Doctor tells Gareth and Logan how to fly the ship and arrived on Pterodon. So then the Doctor and Romana went back in the TARDIS, dematerialized, fixed K-9, and after finding image translator, as they looked on the scanner, they discovered that they're trapped in E-space.
Exospace?
Yes, that thing we came through is a charged vacuum emboitment.
and I think this is a great start of a trilogy. I enjoyed this one. What did you think of Full Circle? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Doctor Who State of Decay, the 39th story of the 4th Doctor, is written by Terrance Dicks and starring Tom Baker, Lala Ward, Matthew Waterhouse and John Leeson. The second story of the E-Space trilogy, and Terrance Dicks came back to write this story. The title was going to be called The Wasting and The Witch Lords, but got changed to The State of Decay, as Terrance Dicks feared negative reviews making puns on the story wasting viewers' time. Apparently there was going to be the vampire mutations for the first season 15 serial, and what would have happened is the Doctor and Leela investigates 3 vampires who violently controls a medieval Earth village, but the idea got ditched because BBC didn't want vampires in Doctor Who. At the same time they did Dracula TV series starring Louis Jarrodin.
Tell me, are we alone in the castle?
Alone.
So it got replaced by Horror of Fanrock. However, the scripts later got changed a bit and reused for this story. John Nathan Turner approached Peter Moffat, whom he had worked on All Creatures Great and Small, about directing the story. As the director was well known for his punctuality and careful planning that ensured shortened shoots, Moffat accepted on 10th of March based on Terrance Dicks' script, and was disappointed to find that Bidmead had encouraged him to tone down the horror elements. After he complained to John Nathan Turner, Peter Moffat was given permission to film an older version of the script with more of Terrance Dicks' stylistic elements intact, removing some of Christopher H. Bidmead's ideas, one of which was to have vampires hatch from eggs. Amy Roberts, who had previously worked on Image of the Fendel, was chosen as a costume designer, alternating between stories with June Hudson, a former assistant. Norma Hill was selected as a makeup designer, while Tony Harding, who worked on 2 previous stories as well as the BBC's Count Dracula, came in to design the visual effects. Christine Rusco, who had designed sets for Pyramids of Mars and The Hand of Fear, was chosen as a story set designer, and she took inspiration for the tower from Mont Saint-Michel in France. The story was filmed at Burnham Beeches in Buckinghamshire, England. So he meets 3 who rule as the villagers collected residents. If Cole serves 3 who rule, he could end up be like those people before him, never to be seen or heard from again. This is unsettling. So the Doctor and Romana arrived and went out for a walk, and while Adric is intruding the TARDIS, he convinces K-9 to let him out because he shouldn't be inside, so he did.
Your presence is still unauthorized. Explain.
I stowed away.
So Adric met a couple living in the house after trying to nick a food, but he got caught, so they allow him to stay, however, because it's dangerous at night. The Doctor and Romana gets taken by men and got taken into a cave.
Definitely an Earth device.
So the Doctor looks at the computer, seeing the faces of 3 who rule. The Doctor and Romana got free, but then as they make their way through the forest, they get attacked by bats. They, however, flew away. There was Habris, so the Doctor and Romana gets escorted into the castle and meet Zargo and Camilla.
Greetings.
Greetings, how do you do? I'm the Doctor.
I'm Romana.
We know who you are.
Really?
We know everything here.
As they're having a feast, Romana accidentally spilt and broke the glass of wine, and Camilla seems to be a bit curious with her blood.
Really, there's no need to make such a fuss over a few drops of blood.
Meanwhile, as Adric is working, Habris came and Adric gets taken because he's the chosen one. So the guard alerted Zargo and Camilla, so they left. The Doctor and Romana takes a look around. My god, this gave me the goosebumps because of the sound of heartbeats.
What is it?
More evidence.
And as they saw corpses that are drained, the Doctor looks inside the fuel tank and it reveals to be blood.
Fuel tanks aren't disused. Only this isn't rocket fuel. It's blood.
As they reached to the resting place, Orkun came and welcomed the Doctor and Romana to his domain.
Welcome to my domain.
Tom Baker, again, is great as the Fourth Doctor, more than words can say. So is Lala Ward as Romana, very likeable and independent companion, who's also a Time Lord. John Leeson is great as K-9, I always loved the robot dog, ever since I was a kid. Matthew Waterhouse is Adric, great companion and has great development. Emrys James played Science Officer Anthony O'Connor of the Hydrax, also known as Orcon, and serves the King Vampire. Peter Arn, Colin Baker, Stephen Burkhoff, John Carson, David Collings, Peter Gilmore, Michael Gothard, John Hallam, Donald Houston, Martin Jarvis, Michael Jaston, Ronald Lacey, William Lucas, Ian McKellen, John Normington, Patrick Stewart, Anthony Valentine, Peter Vaughan, David Warner, and Peter Weingart were considered for the role. William Lindsay played Zargo, who was once called Captain Miles Sharkey. Rachel Davis played Camilla, who was once called Lauren Macmillan, a navigational officer. And funny enough, Camilla is the name of a 1872 famous vampire novel written by Joseph Thomas Sheridan, Le Fresneau. Three Who Rule are three human beings who got turned into vampires after fell into E-space. And I thought they're pretty terrifying. Peter Moffat avoided John Nathan Turner's usual practice of casting big-name actors in guest roles, instead opting for character actors such as Arthur Hewlett as Colmar. Peter Moffat chose to cast actors trained in theatre rather than television as the Three Who Rule to produce deliberately exaggerated performances and stylized vocality, which he described as ham Shakespeare. Eventually choosing Emrys James, Rachel Davis and William Lindsay, he directed the three actors to move elegantly and ballet-like to further the contrast with the naturalistic performances of the peasants. The Great One, not that great one, this Great One, aka the King Vampire, the King Ishgaroth, the Great Vampire, who's from the spiral Ishgaroth, is the leader of the vampires. Fantastic villain, love to see more. Arthur Hewlett played Kalmar, who's the leader of the rebellion against the Three Who Rule, and a scientist. Thane Bettany played Tarak, who's Kalmar's group member, and undercover as one of the guards. Clinton Graham played Ivor, the headman of this village. Rhoda Lewis played Marta, Ivor's wife. Dean Allen played Carl, Ivo and Marta's son, who sadly got killed and his blood is fed to the King Vampire. Ian Rattray played Habris, head of guard. Stacey Davis played Veros, member of Kalmar's group. Stuart Blake played Zoldas, a guard who served Habris. The cast did an incredible job. The sets, effects and music by Paddy Kingsland is superb. So the Doctor and Romana finds out Adric went with them in the TARDIS, so the Doctor seems like he's getting hypnotised by Yukon.
I will not serve. Come, Doctor.
So Romana threw a pillar at him, but Zargo and Camilla came in, planned to feed on the blood. So the Doctor and Romana gets locked up in the cell, but then rescued by Tarak. So the Doctor went back to the TARDIS to find Rassilon's records about the vampires, who fell into E-space.
Is no mention of the record of Rassilon.
Have you tried Rassilon record off?
Access attempted under all permutations.
While Romana went with Tarak pretending to be a god to rescue Adric while he's about to get sacrificed. While waking Adric up, Zargo and Camilla woke up. Tarak is killed and Romana is about to get attacked. Yukon stops them for sacrifices.
No. The sacrifice is made ready.
The Doctor arrives at the cave and convinces men to start attacking vampires. Kalmar hesitated, so he showed them a scanner of the King Vampire, so he changed his mind. So while there's an argument between Adric and Romana because Adric accepts getting the power, we get a great battle scenes, especially with K-9. So after the three vampires' times are up, they age to death and decompose very quickly, which is well done for low budget and pretty gross. And same thing happened to the Great One. And I love the fact that K-9 gets apology due to the nasty remarks about him.
I feel I really must apologise for the things I said about K-9.
Go on then.
Which I think it's definitely deserving.
Well done, dog.
Your thanks are recorded.
The Doctor fixes the computer for Kalmar. Then as the TARDIS team went back in the TARDIS, the Doctor plans to take Adric back home.
You young man, you're going straight home. You're going straight back to the Starlight.
However, he didn't. Very similar to Leela when where both of those characters let themselves inside the TARDIS and the Doctor is like, get out of here, or you're going home. But then in the next story, they became a companion. So, that's State of Decay, and this is a great story, nice horror vibes. What did you think of this story? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Doctor Who Warrior's Gate, the 40th story of the 4th Doctor, is written by Stephen Gallagher and starring Tom Baker, Lala Ward, Matthew Waterhouse and John Leeson, the third and final story of the E-Space trilogy. So originally the story was going to be called Sealed Orders, setting on Gallifrey going back and forward in time, which explores variants of the TARDIS. And a spare Doctor, one of them gets killed, which is interesting, so they ditched the idea and the title was going to be Dreamtime, taking the inspiration from the Babylon Run. Mirror of Gateway leading to Another World took the inspiration from Jean Cocteau Zolfi. The script took quite some time to write and went through a lot. Christopher H. Bidmead found it too long, so him and Paul Joyce, the director who worked on it, Barry Letts wasn't happy because it turned into a pantomime, so a few of the lines got cut. John Nathan Turner found it too complicated. He wasn't too much involved because of the scripting stages. Tom Baker was ill during the making of this season. Tom Baker and Lala Ward, who were in relationship, later broke up, which resulted in unspoken terms. But hey, it's their personal life, nothing to do with me. Both weren't very happy with the character writing. John Nathan Turner and John Dixon, the lighting director, didn't understand Paul Joyce's camera scripts, so he got sacked, but then brought him back after working it out. He never works with Doctor Who again. Background photographs utilised in many sequences were taken at Powers Castle in Welsh Pool. So in the spaceship there's a resting room full of Tharrell sleeping. The Doctor, Romana, Adric and K-9 arrived in the gateway. Romana doesn't want to go back to Gallifrey. The Doctor said Adric will love it there. As K-9 is bursting with smoke, the TARDIS went a bit trippy and Birok went in and he couldn't see the TARDIS team the same way the TARDIS team can see him. So after he ran out, Doctor takes a walk. Rorvik's group tries to break into the TARDIS. Birok went through the other side of the mirror. The Doctor takes a look around in the Great Hall full of webs with a scary sound of something shaking. After sorting armour out, we get an intense moment where one of the armour suits came to life and about to hit the Doctor. So the Doctor dodged and pretended to be a guard, so then two guards came to life and the Doctor ducked and both guards hit each other.
They've cut each other dead.
After Adric and K-9 went out and split up, the Doctor did a bit of a wiring. K-9 came in and the guards talking about the gate. While men are studying a Tharrell, like Frankenstein, Romana went out the TARDIS and meets Rorvik's group.
You alone?
Not now you're here. Can I help you?
Or can we help you?
So they went to the spaceship, and it's pretty funny when one of them is on the phone saying close the door, and it does, and he's like, after when I'm through.
Close the door.
After I've gone through.
Romana gets tied up on the machine. Rorvik's group found the Doctor, so he went through the mirror, while a Tharrell who's called Laszlo looks like he's about to attack Romana. Pretty unsettling. Tom Baker, as always, is great as the 4th Doctor. What can I say that hasn't been said already? I love Lala Ward and John Leeson as Romana and K-9. Sad to see them go though. Matthew Waterhouse is great as Adric. David Weston played Birok, who's Tharrell, being enslaved by Rorvik and his men. He helps Romana and K-9 to free his race. David Weston previously played Nicholas Muss in The Massacre. Clifford Rose played Rorvik, a privateer ship captain. The actors were considered for the role were Robert Hardy, Derek Jacobi, Stratford Johns, John Normington, and Frank Winster, but obviously went to Clifford Rose. Clifford later voiced Major Treptow in the Big Finish Productions audio story, The Scapegoat. Kenneth Cope played Packard, a member of Rorik's group. Colin Baker, John Carson, Tony Cornter, Kenneth Colley, James Ellis, Ronald Fraser, William Gaunt, Brian Glover, Don Henderson, Del Henney, Glenn Houston, William Lucas, Michael Robbins, Maurice Rowe-Eves, George Sewell, John Stratton and Stephen Yardley were considered for the role. Jeremy Gittins played Laszlo, one of the Tharol slaves. David Kincaid played Lane, a member of Rorvik's group who inspects the engines. Freddie Early played Aldo, a member of Rorvik's group who had a 100 Imperials coin with him. Harry Waters played Royce, a member of Rorvik's group who's restored Tharos, and so did Aldo. Vincent Pickering played Sargon, who's in charge of restoring Tharos and a member of Rorvik's group. The bit where he got electrocuted in part 4, Matt Irvin, visual effect designer, did a stunt double for him. Robert Valls played Gundam, robots built by human slaves. The cast did a great job. There's cool trippy effects and the music again by Peter Howell is fantastic. So basically Laszlo was trying to set Romana free but hid because of the two men. So Romana convinced them to untie her. Meanwhile the Doctor questions Birok about the time window and healing, hoping K-9 could get through, but no such luck. So as the Rorvik group went back to the base, one of them threw K-9 away, uncalled for. The Doctor looks around at Greyscale area.
Must be crossing the striations of the timelines.
And held hands with a female Tharol walking through the corridor. Adric and Romana were taking cover and going back to the base. K-9 came back and wouldn't shut up, so Adric walked with K-9. While Romana gets kidnapped again, the Doctor has a dinner with Tharos, who were apparently kings.
This is no way to run an empire.
So after the Doctor spills a wine on the table and acts bashing on the table, the Doctor and Romana appears in the same hall but different time and surrounded by Rorvik and his group. The Doctor tried to reason with the men but they won't listen, so K-9 came in and said the dwarf star alloy in the Slavers ship is causing the gateway to contract. So Adric pointed the dish at the men, then the Doctor says it's automatic.
Never get away with this, Doctor.
Don't move, lads. It's on automatic.
So the TARDIS team escaped and went back in the TARDIS. Rorvik and his men said it's not automatic, so they left and see their spaceship launch in. The Doctor and Romana figures out that they could set all the Tharols free. So the Doctor and Romana went to the base, having a fight with Rorvik and saved Birok. The moment they realised to do nothing, the right sort of nothing, they disappeared. By the time the Doctor, Romana and Birok reached the TARDIS, Romana decided to stay to help Birok free the Tharols, so the Doctor gave K-9 Mark II to Romana. The Doctor got away in the TARDIS as Rorvik starts the ship.
You were the noblest Romana of them all!
The energy from the backblast destroys a ship and Tharos escaped from destruction and running into different timeline. The TARDIS is going back to end space. Romana, Birok and K-9 are starting fresh.
And you and I, K-9, are going to help Birok free them. That's something we've got to do, don't you think?
Affirmative, mistress.
So that's Warrior's Gate. Sad to see Romana going, and K-9 Mark II. That's the end of E-Space Trilogy. What did you think of this story and the trilogy? Drop your thoughts on the comments down below. Doctor Who, The Keeper of Traken, the 41st story of the 4th Doctor, is written by Johnny Byrne and starring Tom Baker, Matthew Waterhouse and Sarah Sutton. So Christopher H. Bidmead suggested to Johnny Byrne to use the subjects of millennialism and the effects of a long-serving head of state dying. John Nathan Turner wanted to include a familiar villain, ones that Tom Baker has faced, the Master. The story is the introduction of Anthony Ainley as the Master and Sarah Sutton as Nessa. So after returning to End Space, the Doctor and Adric found a planet called Traken, and the Keeper appeared inside the TARDIS and told the Doctor and Adric what the crack is with the planet and asked them to go there.
How so, Keeper? I
fear that our beloved world of Traken faces disaster.
As Amalka arrived. So after the marriage of Tremus and Cassia went to see the statue. As she left, Malka spoke.
I know it will be soon.
The Doctor and Adric arrived and met Tremus. As the Doctor explained the situation and the people from Traken couldn't find the TARDIS, as Malka made it disappear with its laser eyes. Everyone thinks the Doctor and Adric are lying. However, they summoned the Keeper, and I thought Malka was pretty scary the way he moved. As Malka appeared through the door and the Doctor asked him to identify him, Keeper said, "Evil, the sanctum is invaded, evil, infinite evil," and disappeared. So Trakenites were turning on the Doctor and Adric.
Constance, we are invaded. Evil!
So the Doctor tries to convince them a misunderstanding, so he's placed under Tremus's protection. Nesta puts the flowers where Malka is and went into the dining room where Tremus, the Doctor and Adric are.
Nesta. Hello.
How do you feel?
Oh, fine, fine. It's always nice to be reprieved. Listen, you didn't know there was a tall blue box with a lamp on top out there, did you?
There was nothing like that there.
The Doctor asks Nesta if she's seen the TARDIS, but she hasn't. So the Doctor and Tremus went to find it. While Adric hangs around with Nessa, Cassia finds a collar and puts it on. She's possessed by Malka. Nessa helped Adric through the gate to run into the Doctor and Tremus. Cassia murdered Seron.
No, Malka, no!
Then the Doctor, Adric and Tremus walked in. Cassia has been herself and told everyone that the Doctor and Adric are Malka's agent, and Tremus is a traitor. So they make a run for it. The Doctor, Adric and Tremus went back where the TARDIS was parked, and it came back.
Doctor, look!
Tremus tried to release Cassia, but the Doctor, Adric and Tremus got trapped in a web and stoned. Malka said it's only the beginning. Uh-oh.
It's done, Malka.
Oh no, Cassia. It is only beginning.
Tom Baker, as always, fantastic as the Fourth Doctor. He pulls it off so well. He has great chemistry with his companions. I think Matthew Waterhouse is great as Adric. Sarah Sutton played Nessa of Traken, who's a Trakenite from the planet Traken, a genius scientist, and the daughter of Tremus. She was originally going to appear in one story, but Johnny Byrne was paid to use that character, and obviously Peter Davidson wanted her as a companion. Plus, Sarah once mentioned that she was scared of Tom Baker. Malka is an animated statue. The design was based on Umberto Boccioni's 1913 statue. I thought the design was cool. He was voiced by Jeffrey Beavers, who also played the Master in this story. He wore the same outfit as Peter Pratt in The Deadly Assassin, but the mask was in bad condition, so he got face painted instead, and I think it's a great design, and Jeffrey did a great job as the Master. He was credited as Malka to avoid spoilers, obviously. Jeffrey Beavers previously played Private John in The Ambassadors of Death and later played Harrod in Downtime. Anthony Ainley played Nessa's father, Tremus, who's consuls of Traken and scientist. Ainley obviously played the Master throughout the 80s after when his body got stolen by the Master into his 13th regeneration. Ainley was casted the role as the Master because John Nathan Turner, who works on the Palliser series, was impressed with his performance as Rev.
And where and how will you find such evidence?
That is my business, Mr. Meglos.
All Ainley wanted to do in Doctor Who was play the Master, and he did so well. Sheila Ruskin played Cassia, who's a consul, Tremus's wife, and Nessa's stepmother. The casts were considered for the role were Francesca Ennis, Judi Dench, Glenda Jackson, Joanna Lumley, Helen Mirren, Diana Rigg, and Fiona Walker, but obviously went to Sheila Ruskin. Dennis Carey played Keeper of Traken, who called the Doctor for help and explains about Malka, and he's asking help preventing evil from taking over. Carey also played Professor Chronotus in Sharda and an old man in Timelash. John Woodnut played Saron, who works at the Traken Union Council. Philip Locke was originally cast in the role. Woodnut previously played Hibbert in Spearhead from Space, Draconian Emperor in The Frontier in Space, and dual roles of Broughton and the Duke of Vogel in Terror of the Zygons. Margot van der Berth and Robin Soanes played Kachura and Lovick, who are part of the 5 consuls of Traken. Mary Morris was originally cast in the role as Kachura, but dropped out. Margot van der Berth had previously played Kamika in The Aztecs. Robin Soanes later played Cronulla Guy in Face of Raven. Roland Oliver played Neiman Proctor on Traken. Traken Knights are a peaceful humanoid race on Traken. Sadly, they're extinct because of the Master, leaving Nessa the last of them. The casts did an excellent job. The sets and effects are fantastic, and so is the music by Roger Lim. So the Doctor, Adric and Tremas are placed in the cell. Melka tells Cassia that Tremas will still be alive as long as she obeys Melka.
Tremas is in disgrace. He cannot become Keeper now. You've saved him.
And he may continue to live if you continue to obey.
So then she catches Nessa patrolling around and tell her to go home. So Nessa picks up a case and asks Proctor Neiman to see her father, but he wouldn't let her. So she points her weapon at Neiman and Foster, so they dropped a key where Nessa's foot is. So then she lasered both men as they try to rush her. And she picked up the key, so she got the Doctor, Adric and Tremas free. As Melka is disappointed in Cassia, the person who's operating the statue reveals to be the Master. Brilliant revealing.
Now this Traken web of harmony is broken. I am free.
While Tremas gets a scroll and gave it to the Doctor, Master plans for the Source Manipulator. Cassia orders Neiman and the Fosters to find the prisoners. By the time the Doctor, Adric, Nessa and Tremas has reached the TARDIS, they're recaptured and being sentenced to death. But after violent thunderstorm, the Keeper dies, Cassia sat on the throne in the case, and the Melka statue materialized.
It's too late. That's far too late.
So the Doctor and Tremas are figuring out how to defeat Melka. Throughout this part, Melka is capable of hypnotizing, shooting lasers, appearing and disappearing everywhere, and being curious if the Doctor knows him.
This man is known to me, as is his ambition.
My only ambition is to stop you, Melka.
As soon as Adric and Nessa went in the TARDIS, she's confused why it's bigger on the inside.
But why is it so much bigger inside than it is outside?
Oh, the Doctor told me that was because it was dimensionally transcendental.
So they're there to complete construction of a server shutdown. As the Doctor and Tremas work out the numbers on the machine, there's aggressive wind. Adric and Nessa attaches the device in the Source Manipulator chamber. After Neiman got shot, the Doctor gets transported inside Melka, which is the Master's TARDIS, and he recognises him. Great reunion.
Of course. The Master.
Welcome to my new ship.
After the Doctor gets paralysed and the Master explaining about his 12th regeneration, his server shutdown begins to destabilise the Source.
Someone has tampered with the power of the Source!
The Doctor smashed through the glass panel and escaped from Melka. After everything's safe, the Doctor and Adric went back to the TARDIS. Tremas wanted to look at something and his hand got stuck in the grandfather clock, which turns out to be the Master's TARDIS. So the Master came out, and we get iconic scene where he stepped inside Tremas' body, rejuvenated, and well, the Master has got the body of Tremas and said, "New body at last."
New body at last.
So he goes back in the TARDIS and disappears away while Nessa is looking for her father.
Father?
Uh-oh. Pretty messed up every time Nessa sees the Master because the fact he's using the body of her father. I think this is a really great story. What did you think of the Keeper of Traken? Doctor Who, Logopolis, the 42nd story of the 4th Doctor, is written by Christopher H. Bidmead and starring Tom Baker, Matthew Waterhouse, Sarah Sutton and Janet Fielding. The last story of Tom Baker as the 4th Doctor, and the introduction of Janet Fielding as Tegan Javanka. The story was filmed in Groseley Park. They used the model of Lovell telescope as the Pharos project based on the Mark I telescope, but it's got some modifications from the Mark IA telescopes such as the rim around the edge of the dish. The lay-by scene was shot in southbound side of the A413 Amersham Road, Denham near Gerrard's Cross. So the story begins at Barnet lay-by with policemen using police box to contact someone until the master materialised the TARDIS around the police box, and I find the laugh pretty scary. So the Doctor and Adric talking about going to Gallifrey, Earth and Logopolis, and discussing about measuring the TARDIS and possibly Time Lords complaining about Romana in E-space.
There's some in the north that are still in use.
But we've got communications devices.
But not a police box.
Meanwhile, Tegan Jovanka, who isn't very well organised, jumps into a sports car with her aunt Vanessa to drive up to airport until at one point the tyres are flattened. As they arguing sorting tyres out and saw the Watcher at the field, Tegan went into the TARDIS and goes down the corridor hoping to meet someone. As the TARDIS appeared inside the TARDIS, the Doctor and Adric went through one TARDIS after another with cloister bell sounds, which is pretty effective, and I do love the cloister bell sound.
Listen.
So Vanessa has a look inside the TARDIS, but she seems scared as we can hear the Masters laughing. So then the Doctor came out the TARDIS and being questioned by the police. So the Doctor sees a tiny Vanessa and policeman in the sports car. He realises the Master has escaped from Traken.
But he's still about somewhere. He, sir? Yes. The Master.
So the Doctor gets arrested as the police thinks he caused an incident. So Adric pretended to be injured to distract them. So the Doctor and Adric managed to get back in the TARDIS just in time while the policeman asked them to get out and ordered the other one to fetch the key. Tegan is lost in the cloister room, hearing the Master's laugh, so she keeps finding her way out.
Who's that?
The Doctor dematerialised the TARDIS. The police open the door and it's just a police box with no one there. So the Doctor plans to land under the water to flush the Master out, and there was no pressure on the door. As the Doctor and Adric walked out, they realised they landed on River Thames, which really made me laugh as it was so funny.
I thought that'd be a perfectly simple explanation.
So the Doctor sees the Watcher at the bridge and telling him to go to the Logopolis, so he did, and Tegan made it into the control room and asked to see who's in charge. I love the Doctor's face when he's like, awkward.
I demand to see who's ever in charge of this ship!
The moments where the Doctor realised that Tegan's aunt is the one who got shrinked to death in sports car by the Master. She's part of the TARDIS team now, so they met Monitor in Logopolis.
He's here.
Logopolis. Welcome.
While the Doctor uses computers and machines to calculate the numbers, Master has killed some of the Logopolitans. While the Doctor is in the TARDIS, Nessa met Tegan and Adric, then suddenly the TARDIS shrinks.
In there.
Tom Baker, like I said, is brilliant as the Fourth Doctor. Even though his illness and arguing with people, he's still amazing. It's a shame what's been happening. What I heard was Tom didn't like what John Nathan Turner was going for, and he didn't like how the season got changed. He was worried leaving the series and couldn't get along with everybody, bless him. Matthew Waterhouse and Sarah Sutton played Adric and Nessa, brilliant companions. Janet Fielding played Tegan Jovanka, who's an Australian human being from Earth who goes to Heathrow Airport for a job as an air stewardess, but of course got herself caught up inside the TARDIS, and when she meets the Doctor she became the companion. The character was created because originally Elizabeth Sladen and Louise Jameson were going to come back as Sarah Jane Smith and Leela, but they didn't want to, so they got replaced by Tegan and Nessa. John Nathan Turner suggested to use a name Tegan after an Australian girl he knew, or Jovanka, named after Jovanka Broz, who was the First Lady of Yugoslavia. Christopher H. Bidmead mistook Tegan Jovanka as a full name, but it's great though. I do like the character as well, and that is my honest opinion. I do like all companions, just like I do like all the Doctors. Anthony Ainley as the Master is fantastic. His laugh is so terrifying. John Fraser played the Monitor, who's the leader of the Logopolis, who's a good friend to the Doctor. Before John got the role, the actors who were considered for the role are Harry Andrews, Bernard Archard, Jeffrey Baildon, Peter Cushing, Maurice Denham, Frank Finlay, Barry Foster, Maris Gorin, Michael Goff, William Lucas, Nigel Stock, Frank Winter, and Peter Wingard. Dolores Whiteman played Vanessa, Tegan's aunt, human obviously. Tom Georgeson played Detective Inspector, a policeman who accused the Doctor of murder. Alan Armstrong, Paul Jericho, Alex Sabin, John Sabadent and Michael Sheard were considered for the role, but obviously went to Tom Georgeson, who previously played Cavill in Genesis of the Daleks. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us as he passed away on 18th of March 2026. Logopolitician are humanoid mathematicians from the planet Logopolis, and I thought they were interesting races. Christopher H. Bidmead said Logopoliticians employ a hexadecimal or base 16 numerical system, a real system commonly used in computer programming when Adric and the Monitor read strings of numbers and letters. The letters are actually the numbers between 10 and 15, expressed as single digits. The Watcher, not to be confused with That Watcher, is from Gallifrey, an object for the Doctor leading to his fourth regeneration. I'd love to see the Watcher again. The animated scarecrows imbued with the Time Lord's power to execute the second Doctor parallels the Watcher's powers. Campbell's mental projection of Choji in function to the Watcher. The casts did an excellent job, the sets and effects are great, and I do love the music by Paddy Kingsland. So the TARDIS got shrinked with the Doctor in it, so the TARDIS got carried to the central registry so they can stabilise it and work out how to get the TARDIS back to normal size. Nessa met up with the Master, who she thought he's Tremas, who became young, and gave her the bracelet which controlled her.
It will keep us in mind of one another.
So Adric went to Nessa. As soon as the TARDIS got back to normal size, the Doctor came out and thanked Monitor and Tegan. When he realises that Adric and Nessa went to look for the Master, he mentions deaths, which disturbed Tegan. The moments after Monitor said death of innocent Logopoliticians and the Doctor said the death of innocent Earth people, Tegan found out that Aunt Vanessa is killed and cried.
I'm so sorry, Tegan. I'm so sorry. I'm going to stop him if it's the last thing I do.
The Master plans to destroy Logopolis. The Doctor found Nessa and Adric, then looked at the Watcher saying he's prepared for the worst. Doesn't sound good.
Why are you prepared for the worst, Doctor?
Because he's here.
Nessa finds out that Tremas is dead and the Master took his body.
Not your father. Tremas is dead, murdered by him, the Master.
So at that point, the Doctor had no choice but to save the universe. Also, the entire planet Logopolis is destroying. The Watcher brought the TARDIS. The Doctor orders all of his companions inside and pointed out that Adric is a stowaway. Nessa contacted the Doctor to help her find her father, and Tegan's curiosity brought her into the situation. So the Master and Doctor shook each other's hand to work together.
Together? One last hope.
As the Doctor and the Master head back to the control room, Tegan follows. Monitor is working on completing a program to make the CVEs permanent. So after he gets dissolved away, the Master got away. The Doctor and Tegan dismantled the computers. Then they needed to go down to Earth. So the Doctor, Tegan and the Master went to the Master's TARDIS to go to Radio Telescope on Earth, while Adric and Nessa thought the Watcher is taking them out of space and time.
What's happening? We're being taken right out of time and space.
But they ended up in the same place where the Doctor, Master and Tegan are. And poor Nessa, that she's having to watch on the scanner the destruction of her home planet, Traken. As she's lost her family, she's lost everything.
And now the world that I grew up in. Blotted out forever.
At daytime, there are security guards. After figuring out the transmitters pointed away from the last surviving CVE, the Doctor, Master and Tegan sneaks past the guards, then outrun them. After Adric spoke to the Watcher, Tegan, Nessa and Adric distract the guards. While the Doctor and the Master were running, the Master picked his weapon up, the Doctor climbed up to the radio telescope, and the Master used his TARDIS to bring himself there. The Master, while holding the Doctor at gunpoint, tells the people that if they do not acknowledge his rule, he will send a signal to close the CVE and restart the collapse.
Peoples of the universe, please attend carefully. The message that follows is vital to the future of you all.
The guards were coming. The Doctor tripped the Master with his scarf on the antenna walkway, so then the Master tips the walkway over while the Doctor disconnects the cables and about to fall. Which looked pretty lethal, and I liked when he gets the flashbacks of the enemies the Fourth Doctor has fought in the past, like the Crispy Master, Dalek, Pirate Captain, Cyberman, Davros, Centauran, Zygon and Black Guardian. So the Doctor lost his grip and falls to the ground. The Master got away in his TARDIS. So Adric, Ness and Tegan ran to the Doctor while being followed by the guards. The Doctor is dying, and it's nice that he gets flashbacks of his incarnations as companions, which are Sarah Jane Smith, Harry Sullivan, Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart, Leela, K-9, Romana 1 and 2. The Doctor said it's the end, but the moment has been prepared for.
It's the end. But the moment has been prepared for.
The Watcher went into the Fourth Doctor and then morphing into the Fifth Doctor, Peter Davison, and sat up after the regeneration is done. Man, it's so sad to see Tom Baker leaving. I think tissues are required for this. There's an explanation about Watcher and behind the scenes if you want to check it out, just to save me from typing all that in. We get cool commercial of season 18 Blu-ray box set of Galactic Glitter package tours with Tom Baker voicing it, many to choose from such as which stories to watch, updated effects behind the sofa, many special features, and you could even watch K-9 and Company on this box set, which is cool.
It was the loveliest job I ever had.
I think it's a brilliant story. I definitely would say it's my favourite of season 18. So, what did you think of Logopolis and season 18? Did Tom Baker's regeneration scene make you cry? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. K-9 and Company, A Girl's Best Friend, a one-episode television pilot, is written by Terence Dudley and starring Elizabeth Sladen and John Leeson. So John Nathan Turner wanted to get Elizabeth Sladen back as Sarah Jane for Tom Baker's final story and leave its season 19 story, but she didn't want to, so Nathan Turner wanted to do something with K-9 as he was popular, and he thought spin-off would do the trick and needed a human as a main character, so he offered Elizabeth Sladen and she accepted. Bill Cotton, who was the controller of BBC One, really likes the episode, but he soon got replaced by Alan Hart, who did not like the idea, so there were no more episodes, which is a shame, but at least we got Sarah Jane Adventures, as the concept of Sarah Jane and K-9 were popular and also returned in Doctor Who, The Five Doctors and School Reunion. Ian Levine and Fiacre Trench did the electronic theme music, which is remembered by the fans. It's pretty catchy. So the feature length begins with Kate Colt going clockwise and has a photo of Lavinia Smith. So in the living room, Lavinia is giving a big box, which is for her niece Sarah Jane, for when she gets back. And she does on the next day, meeting George, and apparently her aunt Lavinia is missing. So after Sarah Jane gets a phone call from Peter Tracy and Brendan, Sarah Jane met up with him at the railway station as they're back in the house being barked at by a dog called Jasper. Sarah Jane gets a call from Juno Baker inviting her for tea, but obviously she's thinking that something isn't right, and Bill advised her not to go.
Much, Mrs. Baker. Goodbye.
Goodbye. She'll come.
So after he left, Sarah Jane and Brendan opens the box and inside reveals to be K-9 Mark III, a gift from the Doctor.
I am K-9 Mark III.
K-9 Mark III.
Affirmative.
And it's so cool to look back and seeing Sarah Jane meeting K-9 for the first time. Once they get to know each other a bit, Sarah Jane has a tea at Lily Gregson. We get great banter between Brendan and K-9.
Affirmative, affirmative.
Affirmative, affirmative?
To both questions, affirmative.
Ah.
So Brendan picks some samples up from the garden, and eventually as he came back he gets attacked by Peter. K-9 blasted Peter, so Brendan questioned him, but Peter advised Brendan to get away. So he did, while Sarah Jane meets Juno, Henry and Howard and everyone at the pub. K-9 knocks the gardening stuff over. Peter and George talk to each other about K-9. Brendan tells Sarah Jane what happened after when she came back.
I locked the back door. I know I did. And you didn't find out who he was?
He wouldn't say. He just kept saying that we had to get away from here.
Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith. As always, amazing companion and a fantastic main character. What can I say that hasn't been said already? And John Leeson is great as K-9. I do love those two characters. Ian Sears played Brendan Richards, who was once called Bray Dunn of the Terre, is a Terre native species of Thea from the moon. He gets saved by Patricia Richards. If K-9 and Company had more episodes, Brendan Richards would have been a regular cast member on the series. Brendan and K-9 modified the Doctor Who running joke. After K-9 declares that he was a gift from the Doctor, Brendan asked, "Who's the Doctor?" and K-9 replied, "Affirmative."
Who is the Doctor?
Affirmative.
Brendan's origin story was developed by Sadie Miller, Elizabeth Sladen's daughter in real life. By the end of Moon Blink, it is made clear that he would never know of his alien origins, and then he would end up becoming a normal human child. Responding to a quip that Brendan could have at least sent a card to Sarah Jane's funeral, Russell T. Davis, the writer of the Doctor Who lockdown story Farewell Sarah Jane, tweeted that Brendan died in an avalanche in 2011. Gilla Martel plays Lily Gregson, who's the High Priestess of the Hecate cult and the postmistress of the Morton Harwood. Hecate's cult are the witch species based in Morton Harwood, and I thought they're pretty cool. Mary Wimbush plays Lavinia Smith, Sarah Jane's aunt, and a world-renowned virologist. The character was actually first mentioned in the Sarah Jane debut story, The Time Warrior.
Well, my Aunt Lavinia is in America on a lecture tour, you see.
This is kind of rare in classic era, but mostly a thing in the 2005 relaunch era, in which companions' home lives are routinely and prominently featured. Companions' family and friends were almost never depicted in the classic era, aside from the Doctor himself, who was Susan's grandfather. The character would have likely been a regular cast member if K-9 and Company had become a series. As suggested by her appearances in the K-9 annual, Sarah Jane's upbringing as the adopted daughter of Lavinia fits in with the background established in Doctor Who magazine 1992 holiday special and was further expanded upon in the Sarah Jane Adventures, particularly The Day of the Clown and The Temptation of Sarah Jane Smith. In a November 2016 advertisement for Sherlock Series 4, a book written by Lavinia Smith was depicted on a bookshelf in 221B Baker Street. Bill Fraser plays Bill Pollock, Lavinia's partner in a market garden in Morton Harwood and the high priest of the Hecate cult. Bill Fraser previously played General Grugger in Meglos. Colin Jeavons played George Tracy, a manager of a market garden in Morton Harwood and a farmer. Colin Jeavons previously played Damon in The Underwater Menace. Sean Chapman played Peter Tracy, a resident of Morton Harwood and criminal, and George's son, who got suspended sentence for breaking and entering. Linda Poland plays June Baker, who lives next to Lavinia Smith and got mistaken as a villain. Neville Barber played Howard Baker, Juno's husband. John Quamby played Henry Tobias, a member of the Hecate cult and the editor of Morton Harwood Standard. Nigel Gregory and Stephen Oxley played Vince Wilson and P.C. Carter, police officer. While the purpose of Wilson's death was to imply that Hecate cult had supernatural powers, this was a red herring. Later, the episode revealed that the cult had no powers whatsoever, implying that Wilson's heart attack was a genuine reaction to fright. The cast did a great job. The set, effects and music by Fiacre Trench, Ian Levine and Peter Howell are great. Next day, Sarah Jane and Brendan takes a look at the damaged greenhouse after getting complaints about K-9.
George says a dog did this. Well, if I catch him, I'll...
So later at night, Brendan gets taken away by Peter. Sarah Jane couldn't find him the next day, so she reports it to the police, but they're no use. So she drops a visit to the Bakers, who think Sarah Jane isn't well. So as she left, Brendan is about to get sacrificed. So Sarah Jane and K-9 arrived where he, Kate, cults are doing the ceremony. K-9 blasted them. Brendan is saved, Sarah Jane sees the familiar faces, and they get taken away by the police. So in the end, Sarah Jane, Brendan and the Bakers are celebrating Christmas. Lavinia phones Sarah Jane, and apparently she sent Sarah Jane a cable. Nothing bad happened, thankfully.
Ask Bill Pollock to cable you at your flat.
Oh, well, that explains that.
We get a amusing scene where K-9 is singing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas."
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
So yeah, there's great ideas for the show, especially with Sarah Jane and K-9 as the main characters. Sadly, it's just one episode. But like I said, at least it gave us Sarah Jane Adventures 26 years after. This episode also included in Doctor Who Season 18 Blu-ray box set.
Where are you from, K-9?
From the Doctor.
From the Doctor?
Affirmative.
So, what did you think of this episode? Drop your thoughts on the comments down below. Thanks people as always for watching, and see you in the next video.